I'm Bruce Mazzie, and welcome to This Old Car.
This week on This Old Car, Bruce Mazzie visits Don Jenkins of Joe's Upholstery, where Donnie Jenkins and staff put the finishing touches on the interior of a 1919 center door Model T Ford.
We're here in Frederick, Maryland at Joe's Upholstery, which is owned by Don Jenkins. Donnie is also the president of the Sugarloaf chapter of the Antique Automobile Club of America. Don, why don't you tell us what you do here in general, and then we'll get specifically a look at Chuck Ziert's 1919 Senador Model T.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, Bruce, at our shop. What we've got here in front of you is the old cover that we have removed from the 1919 Model T. This is a very good pattern to work with. We always tell the customers save every pattern they have, because the more information we have about the car, the easier it is to complete the job. It has a backer material, which is a burlap, and then it has a layer of cotton that's tufted inside the pockets, and then the actual exterior cover. This particular piece of material was a striped broadcloth material. Okay, what Ronnie's about to do here, he's marking the backing material that we're going to use to make the pockets. He's got the tape there. He's already pre-marked on his roller stick, so we can make every one exactly the same. Not only does he mark the backing material, but he'll also mark the top material, which will form the pleats. Ronnie, you've already got this marked. Do you want to sew one of the pleats, and we can show him how that's done?
What's the nature of the thread that you use in these machines? Is it cotton or synthetic?
No, it's a nylon material.
Nylon?
And we have some, we use polyester.
So he seals the end, going back and forth.
What he'll do, he'll sew all the
little
fold stitches together before he sews it onto the backing material. It just makes it a little bit easier.
Again, I want to remind our viewers that this is for a 1919 Model T with a center door, which was a very deluxe vehicle in those days. How expensive is this material?
Usually most of the antique materials are approximately $60 a yard. It
Whoa.
can vary.
$60 a yard?
Oh, yeah. We have a customer with a 60 Valiant. I think that particular material is $69 a yard.
Well, that just reminds us not to spill any coffee on our upholstery.
Yeah, that's for sure. And originally when this Model T was sold, what did it sell for? $600? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
How much material we use in this?
On this particular car, we'll use probably between 10 to 12 yards.
How much
That's $700 in raw, in just cloth. Then you got all your padding and the backup material and the piping. You make the piping, right?
Yes, we make the piping. Yeah, we have a special attachment we put on the machine to make the piping. It goes to the same contour of whatever size cording we're using.
This is a good time to mention that this is a family business. Ronnie is Don's son, and Don's father started the business, and Ronnie's son Joe is the namesake for the business.
complete the cover, we need to fill the pockets with cotton. And we have a special tool we use to do that. Ronnie, would you load up one of the sleeves and show them what you're going to do here? Usually we'll use 2 or 3 layers of cotton per pleat, depending on the size of the pleat. We have a tufting tool. It consists of a top and a bottom. Once the cotton is stuffed in the sleeve, we'll insert it in the pocket. Sometimes it takes a little while to get all the cotton stuffed into the sleeves. I think that's got it, Ronnie.
There we go.
Without the tufting sleeves, it would almost be impossible to put the cotton in the channels. There you go.
And there it is. Nice and cushioned.
We'll just go down the line and fill all the sleeves in until we have one that's completed.
Let's do another one. You can see how one next to the other goes.
All right. You have the cotton there?
You buy that cotton in big bats, it's all flat like that when you get it?
It comes in a large roll. Mm-hmm. And we just unroll it and cut it to width.
And how about this cloth? Where'd you find this cloth? It looks very Model T-ish, you know? I mean,
this particular cloth come from a company in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We sent out flyers to 5 different companies and picked the closest one we could find. And we had Chuck to look the sample over and make sure it was to his approval. The complete original material is no longer available, so we have to work with the closest thing we can get.
We're going to follow this car through.
Resembles it quite closely.
We're going to follow this car through to its completion over the next couple of months and maybe get a ride in it.
Yeah, well, we hope so.
When we come back to This Old Car, we'll be building a Model T's seats from the springs up.
We're on the other side of the shop with another one of our trimmers, Robert Jewell. And what he's done is already inspected the seat frame to make sure the springs are in good condition. This is the seat springs out of the 1919 Model T. We've already stripped it down, already repainted it. He's already checked all the springs. Any broken ones, he has replaced them. And what he'll start with a layer of burlap. He'll cover the springs to keep the padding from wearing through. And he has his hog ring tool with the hog rings already in it. And he'll hog ring each corner, and then he'll put a couple down through the middle.
Hog rings are those little metal hooks that you find under your seat when you go to get your candy and you rip the top of your hand open.
There you go.
Yeah.
But you seldom see them in new seats anymore. Yeah. Everything's going to plastic. The main thing of any seat is the foundation. No matter how good the seat looks, if you got broken springs, you'll never have a good seat that will be comfortable.
Yeah, I think our cameraman Chuck knows something about broken seats. He has an Avanti that needs some work on the seats. The springs are all rusty and broken.
Well, he'll know where to go now.
Yeah.
Robert will finish and put a couple more hog rings in, but then next, Robert, you can show him the layer of felt padding that goes over top of that to make a foundation.
Now that's the modern replacement for the horsehair, right?
Yes, that replaced the horsehair. We'll also put foam on this seat for just the comfort, because Chuck's not only going to show this car, he's going to be driving it. And after a while, we want to make sure he's comfortable.
Good. He drives all his cars. He's an avid
Yeah, that's what they were made for,
antiquer.
to drive. And then we'll have the foam. Robert will position that in. And he'll secure that down again.
You're going to use all that, or does he trim some of that off?
Some of that will be trimmed off. This is a seat that he's already has trimmed off, and the hog rings are already in it.
Nice.
Robert, you want to just set that one down, and I'll let you install this one here. As you remember earlier, we've already stuffed the pockets. As he positions that onto the cushion, we have two end pockets that are left open. So he'll cut those particular pieces of cotton and lay them in. There you go, Robert. In the old days, my dad and I, we didn't have pneumatic staplers, so we just used tacks. And this is originally how the seat was done, with tacks.
The hammer's magnetic.
Yes, it has a magnetic tip on the end. And all the original trimmers, they would just take a handful of tacks, put them in their mouth, because they would come already sterilized. And then you would just position your tongue and whack, 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 whack back and forth to make it nice and quick. But it's been so long since I've done that, I would probably wind up swallowing a couple
Pretty
of them.
tough on the digestive system, I'd say.
Yes, it was. But now we have the pneumatic guns, which makes life quite a bit easier. Robert's getting ready to install this seat. The staples won't show because after we install the cover, there's a narrow binding that goes around it that we do put in with tacks.
Now you're starting from the middle and working around
to the edge.
Outside. That's a nice looking seat. You gotta watch you don't staple your finger to the wood there, you know.
Well, that happens occasionally. I think every trimmer has some little bruises and staple holes in their fingers and thumb.
Yeah, I got my tie caught in a copy machine once. put a big cut in my chin when going down. Oh, it's nice and firm and soft, and really nice. I understand the seats in new cars, what they do is they make the upholstery up and they put it in a mold and they blow the foam inside.
A lot of the Chryslers are doing that. They're molded seats. Actually, we have a new 2001 Cadillac out there. We've got to put a replacement cover on it because the heating element has went bad in it. I think sometimes if Henry Ford could imagine what's in a seat nowadays, I mean, his seat was just bare wooden frame with springs on it, and now you have airbags in them. The seat, the backrest has actual an airbag in it. You have the electric heat in the seat, and then you have lumbar supports, and you have a wiring harness about the size of a silver dollar that's going up into your seat now. Some of them even have speakers in them. So quite a change.
Stay tuned for more of This Old Car in just a moment.
Okay, what we're going to see here is the assembly of the panels that go inside the car. Why don't you tell us, John, what Ronnie's doing?
Okay, what Ron's doing here, this is another one of our trimmers. He's already pre-cut the door panel to fit the 1919 Model T. This is the old door panel, and you can see how it has an emboss around the perimeter of the door panel. So Ron has cut these strips and pre-marked the door panel, and he's going to glue them on, and so we can get that embossed pattern. We're doing the very same way. You can see the old cardboard that's in there.
That's a finished piece over there, huh?
This is one with the cardboard already glued on.
Nice. Just like Henry made it.
Just like Henry. One more side. That looks good, Ron. And then we need a layer of padding underneath of it. And so we have a very thin 1/8" foam. And Ron, you can spread a little glue on there. It'll position the foam in place. There you go.
That's the sticky stuff. What is that material? The glue material? Is it a contact cement?
It's a contact cement, yes. Yeah.
And I see you have it in a drum.
Yeah, we
over
buy in
there.
the 5-gallon cans, and then we put it in a pressure pot because we use so much glue. It makes it so much more convenient.
Boy, look how nice that turns out. Really nice. Then you're going to spray this side. You put the heavy coat around where the high spot is.
That extra glue will make that embossment show up
Yeah,
even
nice,
that much more.
Got to go real careful so you didn't get any high spots or bumps or whatever. Very, very nice. There it is.
And then, Ron, here's a layer that goes over top of that.
I notice on one of these you've sewn. Do you sew right through the cardboard?
Completely through the cardboard. After Ron gets this done, we'll take it back over to the sewing table and we'll stitch around the perimeter of the panel, and then the emboss will stay in position and it has a higher detail finish to it.
So the sewing machine will actually go right through that stuff, huh?
Right through the whole thing.
Holy mackerel. Look at that. Let me put this.
We put a vapor barrier on the back. Which is very important because when Chuck washes the car, you know some of the water is going to get in there.
Right.
This
down
is a
between the
waterproof
windows.
board, but even this has that much more protection when you put that plastic film on it.
Very nice.
That way the water will run right off of it. Because I'm sure you've seen panels all warped up.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times they forget to do that, and that's one of, it's something simple and easy to do, but
And now's the time to do it. Yeah.
now it's time to do it.
Let's look at where these panels go in the car. Here's one of those panels on a door. Here you can see the nice indentation that Ronnie just made. The windows are not in this door yet, and these garnish moldings have to be finished, but the upholstery will be all put on here. There's a little bead that goes around the outside. Why don't we have a look inside the car?
This is the door panel that's already installed that Ron, you just seen assembling. This has a trim that goes around the surrounding of the doors of rubber tubing inside of here, 3/8 inch rubber tubing, that when the door closes it makes a wind seal. You can see the different trim. There's a little piping that goes around the top that was original to this vehicle. The headliner has already been installed. We started out with one piece of material, and then these has 5 different panels that are cut and sewed with a listing tape that actually tacks to the wooden bow. This headliner is all flat, as you can see. This is quite different than in the 50s when they had the hard steel top with the it rolled down, and you have metal tubings that are installed in that particular headliner. This Model T is unique because it has a oval window in the back. I don't think too many of the T's actually put those windows in it. The striped pattern is throughout the whole interior. Quite often they would have a two-tone contrasting material.
This was an elegant car in its day. Don Jenkins does more than upholster automobiles and boats. This is a very unique piece of equipment here. It's an antique. Why don't you tell us about it, Donnie?
This is a 1947 vintage. It's an inspection railroad car. There was a Fairmont motor in it, and they were used to check out the railroad tracks, the single lights and such as. We're making side curtains, as you can see, and this is where the window will be installed. As I said earlier, this is a 1947 vintage. It has a sliding door that's on curtain rods, pretty much. This was the old pattern we went by. It's an antique restoration club that owns this, and they actually use it on the railroad. They have to make arrangements to run it on the tracks, but they do on the weekends.
Southern Railway.
Last week we had another unique project. We made the covered for an 1864 ambulance for the Civil War Museum right here in Frederick.
Was that horse-drawn?
Oh yeah, that's horse-drawn, and actually the museum has a large library upstairs where we did a lot of research, and they had the manuals on it that told you what type of canvas was used, the straps, the hardware. They even had pictures we made copies of. And like I said earlier, the more information you have on any project, the better the end results will be.
Well, Don, I want to thank you for welcoming us over here. We'll be back when you do Buzz Potter's 35 Ford Phaeton. Thank you very
Bruce.
much.
Stay tuned for more of This Old Car in just a moment.
Well, that's it for today. For This Old Car, I'm Bruce Mazzie.
Thanks for watching This Old Car. Bruce will be back next week with more great classic cars, fact-filled interviews, and restoration tips. Until next week, I'm Chuck Baker for This Old Car.